Well, folks, the campaign continues, and that means it's time for yet another episode, a dreaded episode, of Ben After Dark. We're now at almost 3 weeks since Kamala Harris was crowned the Democratic nominee, in a process that makes female Olympic boxing look fair. And most importantly, in all that time, she has avoided all interviews. She has held 0 press conferences. She has completely disappeared, just like Ellen Page. To put this into perspective, since Joe Biden dropped out of this race, the hawk to a girl has done 7 podcasts.
Yeah, I'm a crack baby. Are you? Yeah.
Bill Maher, Plan Brie, Whitney Cummings, Happy Dad, Jake Paul, The Vial Files, and Howie Mandel. I did not know that, but for some reason, my producers did. Kamala, however, did do one TikTok with Lance Bass. The last time Kamala Harris took an adversarial question, he was still straight.
Hey, Kamala, what are we going to say to Donald Trump in November?
Bye, bye, bye.
Baby, bye, bye, bye.
Oh, it's so cringe and awful. It's style over substance. A formula Democrats hope will glide them through November, focusing on Jimmy Fallon segments and Megan the Stallion. Yes, you are the stallion. Twerking. Those are some family values right there. Mainstream legacy media continues to treat Kamala with a bias they have no intention of even hiding. While we have to guess her stance on things like tech policy or her plans on how she'll strengthen border security, let's look at what we do know. It's carnitas. Her favorite taco is carnitas. Huge news that will be so helpful to know while we all shelter from nuclear holocaust. Meanwhile, Kamala continues to taunt Trump to debate. She says he was dodging her because he wouldn't agree to the terms he previously set with Joe Biden, which is stupid. This woman thinks they can change out candidates like dirty underwear, and he has to live with the same rules. The man who wrote The Art of the Deal. You'd have a better chance getting Joe Biden to remember his own name. Anyway, Trump came back at Kamala by telling her he will do 3 debates, to which she clarified, nope, just 1, because, ironically, she is the coward. But the good news is the media are loving this. They are overwhelmed by joy.
Thank you for bringing back the joy.
It's like Inside Out 2 around here. I haven't seen the media this happy since Barack Obama connected them to his human centipede. I'll never forget, none of us ever can, that George Stephanopoulos was the middle. Listen, the press has had a rough month. After acting like Joe Biden was a lucid and functioning human being for years, they got caught. They had to make a quick 180. And then they had to pretend they didn't know his brain was expired jello from the start. That's triathlon level stuff. But now they can go back to doing what they do best, licking Kamala Harris's high heels and rolling over for a tummy rub. Oh, the joy. Well, speaking of people the media won't question, Kamala Harris has now picked her vice presidential nominee. Turns out he's the illegitimate love child of Don Rickles and a husk of corn, except less charming and much louder. Also, he loves socialism and kids. Now, he may live down in a van by the river, but he's certainly everyone's favorite high school coach. Assistant coach.
And that's why you have an assistant regional manager.
Assistant to the regional manager.
Same thing.
No, it's not. It's lower.
And as we all know, the best social studies teachers are the PE coaches. The creepy kind of PE coaches who can't wait to be the sponsors of the school Gay Straight Alliance and to coach naked water polo. Anyway, meet Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Let's look at Kamala's thought process here. The beloved astronaut from the moderate state of John McCain, Mark Kelly, not you. The hard-on-crime lawyer turned governor of a vital swing state needed to win the White House, Josh Shapiro. Not you. How about the socialist from Minnesota? Yeah, the one whose wife said she enjoyed the smell of the racial underclass burning tires during riots.
Those first days, when there were riots, I could smell the burning tires. And that was a very real thing. And I kept the windows open for as long as I could because I felt like that was such a touchstone of what was happening.
Solid choice, Kamala. This is probably why she earned 0 primary votes. Total. Ever. So what do we know about Tim Walz? Well, yes, he was an assistant coach at a high school. And yes, he was in the National Guard for 24 years until he dumped out in order to avoid being deployed to Iraq, abandoning his battalion in the process. And sure, he then lied about that for years. Stolen valor is definitely a campaign strategy. But what else do we know? Well, we know he's a complete fiscal incompetent. In fact, at the ripe old age of 60, he doesn't own any real estate or a single stock. That is not a joke. He has no assets. He's basically a homeless socialist living off the taxpayer dime while allowing his home state to burn to the ground in the name of social justice. And Kamala said, that's the guy. That's him. I want that guy. Well, aside from the fact that Walz isn't Jewish, he does have one asset, according to Politico. He's really, really willing to humiliate himself. And in Kamala's world, if you can find a white guy willing to humiliate himself more than Doug Emhoff, you pick him as VP. Politico reports that in his VP interview, Walz told Kamala he has no further aspirations. He's done, basically retired. And that made her feel good, because the last thing you'd want if you were a presidential candidate is a VP looking for the first available opportunity to unplug you like Cypher did to Switch in The Matrix.
No!
By the way, the hilarious part of this metaphor is that Switch's still twitching corpse remains president of the United States. Anyway, Walz will be a loyal attack dog, and a really enthusiastic one. He's like a crazy corgi. He bounces off the walls like Kanye after 3 tanks of nitrous, and he surrounds himself with just as many Jew haters. But don't worry, the media loves it. More joy, more belly rubs. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. For the next 3 months, the media will paint this man as a Coach Taylor on a John Deere tractor. In truth, he's the unhinged progressive monster America should fear. He's weak on border security, repellent on common sense abortion restrictions, dangerous with trans messaging, threatening to the Second Amendment. But guess what? We do know he loves milk. We'll be flooded with memes about how he's basically worked in the Dickies section of a Menards. He's a man of the people. Not those people. Not those people. Tim Walz, we've been told, is a kind and gentle Midwesterner who just wants you to mind your own business. Your business, by the way, is being a good neighbor, which is called socialism.
For one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
And the best way to mind your own business and be a good neighbor is to snitch on all your friends if they violate COVID restrictions, which is what Tim Walz actually did as governor of Minnesota. He set up a snitch line so you could tell him your neighbor was out playing basketball without a mask. Tim Walz? More like Christoph Walz.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
And they're all telling us Walz is Minnesota nice. It's a new catchphrase of sorts. He's out there cracking jokes about his rival, J.D. Vance, a man who did not abandon his fellow troops at the drop of a hat, but who has been the victim of the internet's dumbest meme. A meme that suggests that J.D. Vance treated a couch the way Kamala treated Willie Brown for a job.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So.
Now, Vance did not f the couch, but Tim Walz did f the entire state of Minnesota. By the way, it's not J.D. Vance who shakes hands with his own wife. That's the kind of energy that suggests you might have gotten cozy with the couch on more than a few occasions there, Tim. But listen, we all know the real reason the left is excited about Tim Walz. Because they have to be, by law. Oh yeah, and because many members of the press are simply eager to relive the joy of the summer of love in 2020, when white people were kneeling to black people. Listen, I wouldn't say that. I'm not the one saying it. Actually, MSNBC contributor Anand Giridharadas said it.
The biggest significance of this man is that he is an older white man in a moment in which the far right is trying to convince white people that the future is treacherous for them. There is joy in the future. There is joy in having your boss be a black woman. There is joy in what is coming.
He says there's joy in your boss being a black woman, and that's what white people need to understand. Those racists need to learn the most important thing about your boss is her skin color and her sex. They must learn. They must do the work. Those bad white people. Well, not all white people. Some white people, the good white people, like Tim Walz, know this already. Like, say, Ben Stiller.
That's incredibly exciting. And, you know, she's Indian, she's black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. You know, I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black.
Now, according to Ben Stiller, all the white Jewish guys wish that they were black. Maybe in the Democratic Party, because that's the only way a Jew could ever become president.
Sort of just free myself up to believe that it was okay to be stupid or dumb.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
As social unrest escalates and crime rates climb, securing the safety of our families is more crucial than ever. I'm about as pro-Second Amendment as it gets. The thought of using lethal force might not be ideal for everyone, which is why you should check out Burna. Introducing the Burna Ungun, the non-lethal self-defense platform. It's lightweight, it's easy to use, it uses an easy-to-load 5-round magazine, it's powered by an 8-gram CO2 cartridge. Burna launchers fire a 68 caliber chemical-filled projectile using patented pull-pierce technology, where the CO2 canister is only punctured on the first trigger pull, which means your launcher is always ready. It's capable of incapacitating an attacker for over 30 minutes. It's accurate and effective at over 60 feet. So it's great for home defense. And also prevents you from making, like a horrifying mistake. It requires no permits and no background checks. It's interstate travel friendly. With Burna, you will be prepared to defend. The Burna is a safer, more sensible alternative that could potentially save lives on both sides, protecting both user and aggressor. Visit Burna.com/Ben for 10% off your purchase. That's BYRNA.com/Ben. Check out the latest news about Burna. That's BYRNA.com/Ben. Just when you thought the 2024 election cycle couldn't get any weirder, independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said, "Hold my bear." RFK Jr., who has somehow been able to extend the Kennedy curse without dying, was seen in an online video talking to Roseanne Barr about a 2014 incident that is as grisly as it gets. Sorry, folks, the puns are just sitting right there. He told the story of witnessing a motorist strike and kill a bear on the highway, then deciding to pull over and put the animal's corpse in his own car, hoping to skin and eat it that night, as one would. Let the man who has not put a bear corpse in his car cast the first stone. But that's when things got weird. RFK got busy. He had a business dinner, and he just left the dead bear in his car. Like one would do with a forgotten wild cadaver slowly decomposing in your back seat. I can think of easier ways to use the carpool lane. But see, here's the thing. RFK Jr. had a flight to catch. You couldn't just leave Smokey's rotting corpse in the car. He was in Manhattan. So as one would, he and his drunk friends went home and got a bike. Then they decided to leave the lifeless bear in Central Park with a bike on its body to imply it was run over and killed by a cyclist as a prank. Good prank, my dude. Solid one. It's like 2004 Ashton Kutcher over here. Also, we should keep in mind that this is nowhere near the worst incident involving a Kennedy in a car. Then, after two women walking their dogs stumbled on the remains, it became a big news story. Well, despite the fact that bears have been using New York's parks' public bathrooms for years, it remained a New York City mystery until this moment. Kennedy leaked the information in preparation for a New Yorker article that would expose his actions, which they did. But they also included this picture of a smiling Kennedy sticking his fingers in the bear's bloodied mouth. Worst Build-A-Bear ever. And this is only the most recent oddball story from RFK Jr.'s past exposed during his campaign. RFK Jr. claimed that doctors found a parasitic worm in his head after it had already eaten a piece of his brain, all caused by food he consumed in South Asia. By the way, still more intelligent than the current president of the United States. That was proven true when he had to officially deny eating dog, which was after a friend shared that photo with Vanity Fair. And it appeared to show Kennedy enthusiastically ready to chow down a large charred animal. He said it wasn't a dog, it was a goat, which didn't really calm a lot of people. And then college schoolmates claimed that he kept an owl in his house and carried a live snake around campus. For a guy who doesn't like vaccines, he sure puts himself in a position to need a lot of them. Well, this is a heated presidential race, and it continues to be close. So many amazing candidates. America, you've done an incredible job. And we'll be back here next week to recap all of it here on Ben After Dark.